All right, what's going on, guys? And today we're getting ready for a trip. So we got the bikes tied down, but I thought it'd be a good time to have a little discussion on ratchet straps. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's kind of our assortment of straps that we've collected over the years. We got some new ones in here as well that we really like. But I'm going to go over some pros and cons of each one and go ahead and get started. All right, so before we go into the traditional ratchet straps, I wanted to talk about cam buckles. So this is our tooth cam buckle setups. We don't use them very often because we usually are traveling longer distance, and if it rains, these have a tendency to come a little loose. But if it's not going to rain and you're doing short distance, I think these are a great option, especially for a lighter load like a dirt bike. These work great. All right, so diving into the ratchet straps, most of what we're tying down is motorsports. So a lot of times we're looking for a shorter span. This is one of the straps that we like the least because of the long span here. This is as short as it goes, and as well as these hooks. So with the suspension and the travel on whether it be our motorcycles or the quads with the softer tires, they kind of move around a lot. So the hooks on this one will have a tendency to fall out because of the longer travel, especially when the car's moving and the trailer's bouncing around. So we like to go more towards things that can fully latch onto the trailer or the motorcycle or quad. So we like this style or the carabiner style, but these we had custom made, and we'll go into that in a little bit later. Either one of these styles we really prefer over a standard hook like this or the S hooks. But the S hooks we definitely prefer over this style. All right, so the next strap is basically your traditional strap that you would get at a Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's. And as they sit, kind of try to avoid these because of the S hooks. See, they've got a really wide S hook. So again, when you're talking about the trailer bouncing around, it's going to have a higher tendency of coming loose. And our solution to this style is to either attach a carabiner to the inner circle for a better attachment point, or the ultimate setup for these style straps is to basically put this in a vise and saturate the strap so it doesn't get hot or melt, and use a grinder to grind the hook off, and then you can attach your carabiner like this. So it's a lot better setup if you're looking at using just traditional Walmart or cheaper ratchet straps without latches. All right, next up, you can see we use this ratchet strap quite a bit because it's got the little clips to lock it in. And this one we actually had shortened because a lot of ratchet straps kind of have too much length for this section here for tying down our various motorcycles and quads. So we actually took this to a upholstery shop and got it stitched shorter. But this is a pretty good style. We really like that and use that pretty often. All right, and then diving into some other straps here that we don't use very often because they don't have the latch here, which prevents them from coming out. And then I also wanted to touch on the handles. So don't think you need a big old handle, and might look beefier, but doesn't really come in handy that much because you're not the goal of tightening down motorsports. Your suspension, you don't want to compress it fully, so you don't need all that leverage with the bigger handles here. So a little one will do just fine. But yeah, we don't use these very often because there's no latch on the hooks. All right, so these are our most recent purchases for straps. These are Power Tie brand. We really like Power Tie because we've had several in the past that worked really well for our setup, and we wanted to kind of freshen them up. Power Tie is made in America, and they're really high quality, but our kind of main focus for these two straps, and the reason why we purchased them, is because of their shorter length, and they do have the latches. All right, so we picked up 4 sets of these Power Ties. They sell them on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below. But they check all of our boxes for what we kind of are looking for in straps. And they come in a nice bag. And they come with these soft ties as well, which these are pretty handy when you need them. But the key thing is they have these latches that you aren't going to be able to find at your local Home Depot or Lowe's. For some reason, these latches are pretty hard to find on ratchet straps, but they're pretty reasonably priced. They're only like 32 bucks, and when you compare it to a regular Walmart strap, they're definitely worth the extra 10, 15 bucks. And I think they really meet kind of the basic needs for most people. And all right, so for our final ratchet strap, we picked up 2 sets of these. These are pretty cool. They're power tie retractable ratchet straps, so they can slide in and out, and you don't have to mess with the excess loop. All right, so we picked these up with the carabiner for kind of what we're doing. We're ratcheting mostly motorcycles, so we're actually ended up using all 4 of these for our setup this trip. But you can kind of use the carabiner setup. These come with bolts as well, so you could actually bolt these to your trailer, and it'd be pretty slick because we actually kind of have a similar setup to this on our jet ski trailer, and really liked that, so we decided to try them for our other motorsports. And for a pair of these, this is about $40, but they come with all this, and it's a little bit cheaper if you don't get the carabiner, if you guys decide to go for the more permanent setup. All right, so I'm going to show you how this setup kind of works mounted to the trailer with the bolted setup, and then we're going to actually go ahead and hook this up to our motorcycle to get ready for our trip. Okay. All right, so the big advantage to these is their length. So you can tighten it up. Then here's another example of us using the retractable ratchet strap, and we actually used it with the soft ties so we don't kind of chew up our hook and damage the passenger peg. But you can see this is a real good example of where this is handy because the length here is really short, so the retractable one worked great for this example right here. And then here's an example we ran out of the retractable ratchet straps, so this is kind of another method of tying down from the same location when your ratchet's too long. For this distance, you can actually loop it around and hook it to a D-ring. For this example, we're using the same D-ring. All right, and here's more of the traditional setup. We just have the regular ratchet strap hooked to Canyon Dancers on the handlebars. And that setup works pretty good, especially on like a bigger bike like this. All right, so here's some older power ties that we've been using for a while. They work pretty good on the trailer, but they don't work in the truck because of these hooks. So you can see this hook is too fat, so it doesn't fit inside the truck where you attach it to the truck. But these are really nice and heavy duty because they have the soft tie stitched into it. All right, and finally I just wanted to share kind of how we hook up the dirt bikes with these fork mounted rings. This is an easy way to clamp your ratchet strap to the bike, and they work really good and they're quick. And then another trick I wanted to share was these of how we tie the loose straps. So we just use some cable ties. We use 7-inch cable ties and just roll up the excess strap so it's not flapping around and possibly getting stuck in a tire or anything. But it just, prevents stuff from getting into the wheel wells or flapping around, and it still gives you access to tighten and loosen the ratchet strap. And then when you get to your destination, it's real easy. You just cut them off with your snips and you're good to go. All right, so I also kind of wanted to share how we set up our trailer for mounting 2 motorcycles. This is kind of how we have it set up, but we attached D-rings to some various points on the trailer, but we did it specifically where the wood is screwed into the frame. So 5 years from now, when the wood starts to deteriorate or get soft, these D-rings won't fail. The carriage bolts go all the way through the frame as well, so they're bolted to the frame, not only the wood, so they're really solid. All right, so you can see all the beams underneath that the wood is screwed into, and then you can see there, that's where the 2 carriage bolts gone through for the D-ring. And we actually really like this PJ trailer because the sides come off in sections here, so it works out really well for our 4 bikes. So we can take the front off and then put our ramp that we have right here. So when we take the ramp down, we can ride the motorcycle onto the trailer and then directly into the bed of the truck. And then another thing to consider if you're looking at trailers is the jack point. So you can see if you're hauling stuff in the back of your truck with the tailgate down, you can see that jack point right there would be an issue, but having it back here where it slides up, it's not an issue, and there's no clearance issues with the truck. All right, well, this is kind of some of the ideas that we use our ratchet straps for. Just thought it'd be fun to share. If you guys got some other tricks, just drop them in the comments below. I love looking at all the different comments, but appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.